Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's Wednesday Wisdom for 2022. This is actually our very first Wednesday Wisdom for the year, and the year is so exciting. I'm really looking forward to 2022. I feel like it's going to be a massive year and lots of growth and expansion. And we've got the beautiful Alexia here for our very first 2022. I feel very honoured.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm the first guest for the year.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you.
So we actually have never met physically, but we're both in the same business training, and we've had chats before. And I'm like, yeah, I think I need you on to share your wisdom with the women on Women of Light Facebook groups. So Alexia, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and what, we're going to talk about burnout, right?
Yes. And it's actually, that's the area that I specialize in, emotional burnout in women, because I used to be that person. My life now looks very different to what it used to look like. I'll just go straight into the heavy stuff, which is, I used to wow, I might beat around the bush. I used to be this person who would I had all this expectation on myself and what I believed my life should be like. And because of all of this expectation, I was constantly, and I couldn't actually identify it at the time, because I thought that that's just how life was and that was normality. And I was constantly exhausted and pissed off and frustrated at the way that my life was. My health wasn't great. I was constantly sick. I just always felt horrible within myself. But the thing is, it wasn't just about me, because it was my family that suffered as well. They suffered the frustration, me lashing out at them because I was resentful for the way that my life was, because I wasn't able to do the things that I wanted to do because I was burnt out. And what I would do though, and this also fueled part of that exhaustion for me, is I could not bear the judgment or what other people would think. I actually prioritized that more than how I was feeling and how my family was feeling. So I would put on the mask every day.
Yeah.
And it's actually hilarious when I think about it now, but at the time it was obviously something I really struggled with, because people would always comment, particularly like in a work setting, because I was pushing myself up that corporate ladder to really,
very much in the masculine, that energy is, isn't it? It's very much, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, we work in such masculine, and I'm digressing a little bit here, but we work in such masculine dominated workplaces in a corporate sense. And it's that whole do. You can't show emotion. You can't show, because the things that make us women are considered to be weak. When we know now that makes us who it's, that's our unique difference, and we should be embracing that and working with it.
Yeah.
But instead of doing that, I was pushing that to the side, working in that very masculine dominated workplace. And it was hilarious, because people would comment to me, "Oh, you're so calm, you just really level-headed." Inside, different story. Like, I had anxiety through the roof. It was, yeah.
And it's really interesting, isn't it? One of the things that you just said was you were getting sick all the time, and that's definitely a sign of stress in the body, is when you constantly, flus, colds, all of those things that show that the body is depleted, because when you're more relaxed, your body and your immune system can function in a more optimal way, right? So yeah,
that was another source of my frustration too. So I'd ignore it. I didn't have time to be sick. Who's got time to be sick? So I didn't look after myself. Instead, had all these unhealthy habits to kind of cope with the way that I was. When really, if I took a step back and I mean, obviously I've done it now, but we really need to go back and identify the source and work on that, because then everything else kind of, falls into place. It aligns. Because if we're too busy treating, the symptom, or ignoring the symptom, or continuing down this path because we want this But this is where we're at right now. We're constantly trying to chase something that we're not ready for, or we're not at, and we're not treating ourselves and nurturing ourselves and looking after ourselves in that moment in time for what we need. We're never going to be able to get the thing that it is that, you know, we're trying to chase, if that makes sense.
And it's interesting because, you know, one of the things that I teach in with the courses that I run is masculine and feminine action. You know, that there's a difference. But, you know, if we're and we're in a society where masculine action is all that people know, like take action, do. Whereas feminine action is the pausing, reflecting, you know, looking deeper, nurturing yourself. And when you're doing the two together, then you know you're going to get somewhere. When you're doing one or the other and it's out of balance, as you know were saying before, you know, like before we got on, then you know, like is not going to work for you. So one of the things you said prior to us getting on was, you know, work-life balance is not a real reality. You want to share? Like, yeah. I liked what you said.
And it kind of links back into my story too, because I used to think, you know, if I could just nail that work-life balance, you know, then all my problems would be solved.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's a myth, because it works on the assumption that, you know, we can achieve equilibrium, that the energy that you expend in work is going to equate to the energy that you expend in your personal life. And I think we all know from experience, I mean, we're all grown women, we know that life is like this. We know that we can have times
ebbs and flows.
We can have days where, you know, we have so much on our plate and so much going on, and then we can have days where, you know, we don't have that much going on, and we do have more time for ourselves. But if we're always chasing this balance, what that can mean is that we're chasing something that isn't actually attainable, which is leading to more frustration, disappointment, that sort of thing. And we're actually ignoring the fact that what's actually required, it isn't maintaining balance. It's about being able to be emotionally resilient, so that when we do have those days, or let's be honest, sometimes it's periods of time, sometimes it's weeks or months, or if the last 2 years have taught us anything at all about our own personal resilience and what's required in that space, it's that being able to handle the things that life throws at you. So when you do have those challenging days or periods of time, that it can, you know, roll off like water on a duck's back, and you can pick yourself off, dust yourself off, and not carry that into the next day or phase of your life. And you know, quite often, particularly for women who are similar to the way that I was, high achieving, had, you know, big plans for themselves, that sort of thing. What can be really challenging is on the days, and this is where it's important too, on the days or the periods of time where we do have more space for ourselves because not much is going on. Sometimes we feel that pressure and obligation to fill it with stuff, because then, you know, we can hold on to that guilt that we're not doing enough, or you know, we get disappointed in ourselves, or we feel that, you know, that a sense of obligation that we can't relax and take time for ourselves because there's always something to be done, or something to be done for someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got so many hats, right? Yeah.
Yep. And there's that whole, and I think it's part of, you know, I think it's wonderful because it makes us who we are, that maternal instinct as well. But sometimes we can take it that step too far, where we think that we have to be everything for everybody else too. And sometimes it can come to the detriment of ourselves. It can be self-sacrificing, when it's really the wrong way around. We should be, you know, focusing and nurturing ourselves first, so we've got the energy to look after others. And, you know, the reality is we don't have to do everything for everybody else either.
Look, this is my stuff, right? Because I've got a big thing about women's roles, and, you know, when the burning of the bra and all of those things were really important. We actually needed to get the vote. We needed, you know, we were suppressed, we were oppressed, we were depressed, you know, like we were all these things. And so we definitely needed to step up. But what happened was somehow they got twisted, and I don't know how. Like there's a history that you can go into, right? But somehow it got twisted to be equal with men, and all of a sudden we're taking over their role and what they're supposed to be doing, and or they've got no idea what their purpose is, and we're doing so much that we're totally overwhelmed. So we're taking over the corporate and the executive roles. We're taking over, we're being all these different things. And we're still being the nurturers, and we're still being, the people that go home and look after the kids and cook and take on everyone else's burdens and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, they're totally in this place of what do I do? And so they've become quite lethargic, and we're like overwhelmed because we've got, so this equilibrium is totally, we need to find our balance again, be the nurturers, be more allowing of delegating and being okay with other people, doing stuff for us, like accept help,
Absolutely. And, from everything that you're saying, it just really, and I'll try and sum this up really quickly because it is something that I can talk about for ages, but we do have a history of gender trauma. We have, everything that you just summarized then, Elizabeth, with the way that the gender roles have kind of evolved over time. And, without getting too much into it, science is now proving that we can inherit these emotional responses and beliefs.
Epigenetics.
Epigenetics. Yeah. And, when we carry, and this is part of, trying to work, linking that back to that whole work-life balance thing and why we're feeling burnt out, it's because we have all these stories going on in the background telling us what we should be doing, that, this is our responsibility. And, so we've got part of that, the feminist hat going, no, we can do the things that men do. We can have, the aspirations, and we can be ambitious. But then at the same time, it's, oh, but we've got to be the nurturers, and we've got to do this, and we've got to look after the household and look after everybody else, because that's what women do. And, then that if you're not, and it's unrealistic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like wearing all the hats.
And it's conditioning. Yeah.
And then what happens is it fuels all these emotional responses and these other stories that we have when we are not achieving this unattainable standard that we have for ourselves. It's really causing us to feel disappointed in ourselves. We feel not good enough. And, that fuels all of this other emotional burden that we have, which is, again, leaving us feeling burnt out. So it's about breaking through all of those molds and that conditioning and rewriting those stories that we have going on in the back of our minds and doing what's in our highest good. Because I know for myself, I was so bogged down in that conditioning and those stories that I was ignoring my own intuition. I was ignoring what it was that I wanted because I was so focused on the things that I should want or how I should be living my life or the role that I should be making. So it's about being able to kind of dust all those layers off and
find yourself again, right? Like underneath it all, there's your authentic self, right? So
and being okay with it. That's the other thing. Being not feeling guilty for it. Or feeling, that you should be doing something different. Really just shedding those layers and getting back to your true self.
It's real. We could talk for maybe we should get you back on because it's actually, and that's why I think I'm so excited about 2022 and the element of where we're at in society and as people are waking up more and more to who they truly are, it's getting back to that authentic self, right? It's actually redefining what it means to be a woman and redefining what it means to be your authentic self and finding that comfort in it, right?
Absolutely.
And so somehow you like what changed, what shifted for you that gave you that and now doing the work that you're doing, right? So what was the catalyst?
list was having a baby. It's funny how that just completely changed. Like,
I know. Nothing like having another child to, having someone to look after. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just remember the expectation that I put on myself. And I mean, I know that's another whole story to go into, but after I had her, bouncing back really quickly and, doing the whole juggling baby thing and going back to work and doing everything else that I needed to be doing and not taking that time up for myself. And it made me, I was laying awake at night. My anxiety got to a point where it was so bad. I was laying awake at night and I couldn't sleep. And, you're supposed to sleep being a new mother. And then I would go through this other thing where I'd just, I'd be staring at my daughter at night thinking that she was going to die. Like, I was completely paralyzed with that. And I realized in myself, I can't continue going on like this, not just for me, but, I don't want to teach, because the way that I just had this, it's like I had an epiphany, the way that I was feeling now and the way that I had been feeling for like the last decade or maybe even more, that's not the role model that I want to be for my daughter. I don't want her to, become a woman and experience the life the way I am. There's more. And it's part of me is really grateful and so happy that I was able to come to that realization and make that change and do the things that I need to do, and to shed all of those layers and be that better role model for my daughter. But then part of me for, when I look at my younger self, is also a little bit sad that I wish that I'd come to that realization earlier. But I think, had I not gone through what I had gone through, I would not have known that something.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to go through that contrast, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things. So that's when it became like my passion, and that's why I do what I do now with women, because I don't want any woman to feel the way that I was. I don't want any woman to feel, that they should be doing things, or they, trying to fill some sort of societal expectation or this unrealistic expectation that they have on themselves to their own detriment, because it's not, as women, I think we underestimate the amount of lives that we touch throughout our lifetime. And it's not
so
just
true
about us, it's the ripple effect, right? So if we are living our best lives, if we are being our best selves, if we are feeling amazing every day, that rubs off on people. And that has that, it makes us better role models, not just to our kids, but everybody that we are around. Because even before I started my business and when I did start my journey of healing, people noticed.
Yeah.
And that's when it becomes true. And you're like, yeah, there is a ripple effect here. And I truly believe that as a collective, as women, we can change the world for the better. And
absolutely.
I know that that's very philosophical, but
we can. No, I agree. The Dalai Lama actually has been known to quote that the Western women are the ones that are going to heal the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, absolutely. So Alexia, just really quickly, what is it that you do in work, and how can people get in contact with you? Do you have an offer that you can share with anyone that might be interested in getting in contact?
Yeah, so what I would encourage you to do, so a lot of the programs that I use, so I'm a coach, but I also use a modality which is called Creatrix as well. And
I've heard of that.
You have?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe it's through you. It just sounds familiar.
It might have been through me. So Creatrix is a modality that helps. It's the only female specific personal development modality that's in the world that we know of right now. And it's for that reason. It is just so thorough, and the results are really long lasting, and it really does cut back and get right through to those layers that we need to shed that I was mentioning before. But a lot of the work that I do, I do tailored work. So what I would suggest, I can give you the links as well to get in contact with me.
If you pop them down.
Yeah, I'll pop them below, because if you are resonating with what I'm saying, if you're like, I've experienced this, and you want to because every woman is different. So everything that we've spoken about now is all generalized, right? And I've used my story a lot to kind of illustrate that. But everybody needs a tailored approach because we've all got different stories and different programming running behind in the background. So if you resonated with what I'm saying, I'm more than happy to, have a chat to anyone who's listening in, and we can, go into more detail with what's happening in your story and see if there's something that that I can help you with, whether with whatever modality is going to actually be the best fit for you.
Yeah, sounds awesome. And do you have a Facebook group or anything like that as well? Awesome.
Yes, I do have a Facebook group. Successful Women Ditching Burnout is what it is.
Yeah.
And I do live trainings in there every week, so I can also pop the link into the group as well. More than welcome to come and join. The more the merrier. Excellent.
So it's been so lovely to chat. I think we need to have another conversation. You and I just flow really well. So we'll have to put you. Yeah.
I love what you do too, Elizabeth. Like it's just very aligned. It's very aligned with the things that I do and I teach as well.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's we're all moving in the same direction, and there's different flavors of everything. And people resonate to different people, and that's why I do these Wednesday Wisdoms, is to highlight the women that are in this group, and the opportunity to share the success, but also what is around, because someone might resonate to someone else other than me, and that's the way it should be, right? You just got to let it happen, healing's healing. So
exactly what I was thinking, because it doesn't matter how we do it, just so long as we do it.
Absolutely. We're moving forward, we're evolving. Yeah, totally true. Thank you so much, Hun. We'll definitely get you back on. Everyone who is watching, if you're watching the replay, definitely put #replay. We would love to see you in here, and we'll say hello. Tag Alexia or myself if you would like us to answer any questions. And if you're watching on YouTube as well, love for you to hit subscribe and the bell so you get notifications when we put something on. And all the information, wherever you're watching, will be in the comments below. So take care. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks so much for having me.
See ya.